Hey guys, welcome back to How to Draw Creepy Creatures with me, Arthur. Now, lesson we did the Grim Reaper, and I decided that we're going to do something a little bit more interesting and obscure today. Today we're going to do a creature from Scandinavian myth called the Huldra. Now, the Huldra is basically humanoid, semi-humanoid, looks like a beautiful young girl, but she's actually the guardian of the forest. She has an animal-like tail and a hollow space in her back. So we're going to draw her from behind. Now, usually they're not necessarily evil unless you offend them. Then she'll lure you down to an underground passage where you'll never be able to find your way out. But that's only if you really tick her off. Okay, so let's get into it. All right. All right, basic human frame. What's very interesting about this myth in particular is the concept of being able to identify a supernatural humanoid by a hole in the back. This is actually surprisingly common in many myths and legends. In Hispanic folklore, for instance, you can identify La Llorona by the fact that she has a hole in the back of her head. In Japanese mythology, there's a ghost of a scorned woman that can be identified because she has a hole in the back of her back and you can see her spine. While in South American lore, you can identify the Dolphin Man or Incantado by the fact that he has a hole in the top of his head. It's very strange that this seems to be a reoccurring theme in folklore in cultures that never even met each other, but that's kind of how folklore works. It's strange. You realize that cultures that never even met each other have a lot more in common when it came to their fears and subconscious beliefs. Okay. Okay. It's a very basic figure. All right. All right. This is what you should have so far. Now, because the Huldra is such an obscure creature, it's not very often mentioned in pop culture, but there was one very good, I believe it was a Norse film called Tale, which delved into the legend. It's a pretty entertaining film. If you don't mind reading the subtitles, if you don't know how to speak Norse, like me. So, if you have the patience to read subtitles, absolutely should do it. It's a good film. Alright, let's draw shoulder blades a little bit. Okay. Yeah, what's interesting about this one is that the Huldra isn't actually necessarily malevolent unless you do something to offend her. It's more like her appearance in general is creepy, just because she looks like this normal girl until you get really close to her and you realize that there's something terribly wrong with her. Okay. Like, they're often portrayed as having like this long, beautiful trailing hair, so I think it'd be cool if we gave her like a braid, sort of. Alright. Alright. Okay. Let's give her like big braid. Kind of surrealistic braid. Okay. In fact, I was going to draw her feet that one way, but it might be better if we drew her feet kind of tucked underneath herself. Okay. Be careful not to over do your lines here, because if you do it too much, it'll look like you're suggesting hair. Alright. Alright, she's not going to have a back, but I'm just drawing one for now so that we know where everything is supposed to go. Alright, now the tail is described as cow-like, where it's long, it's slender, and it has these tufts of hair on it. So I kind of imagine like a cross between a cow and a fox. Yeah, like that. Okay. Now for the fun part. Since her back is supposed to be hollow, yeah, we're going to draw that. Now what's really interesting about this is that in many myths and legends, Huldras appear to people, and then once they realize they've been seen, they turn into a hollow tree trunk so that you can't identify them. Or a lot of times they'll use glamour and illusion so that you'll mistake a hollow tree trunk for them, and they can escape into the forest without you noticing them. Okay. In fact, in one Scandinavian legend, it said that Huldra was one of the daughters of Adam and Eve, and that when God came to, let's just start shading now, excuse me while I'm talking, that when God announced that he was going to come to the garden, Eve saw that some of her children, she supposedly had dozens of children at this point, were unclean. They hadn't been bathed. And so among them was Huldra. And she told Huldra, since she was the oldest, to go hide the children, the dirty ones that hadn't been bathed, away from God so that God wouldn't see them, and she would only present God the clean ones. Well, God, of course, realized what she was doing and that he had been tricked, and so he said, "What is unseen shall remain unseen," which is why Huldra and her siblings live in this magical, unseen world that humans only get a small glimpse of. And they're always supposed to remain in the forest where the sight of them won't offend God. Kind of seems like an unfair deal for her when you think about it, because it wasn't her fault that she didn't have enough warning to bathe first. But yeah, that's how it is in myths and legends. A lot of people who didn't really deserve this fuzzy end of the lollipop end up getting that. Alright, let's suggest her ankle a little bit there, the bottom of the foot. Okay. Shade here because the light is being cut off by her arm. Okay, now I thought it'd be cool because she's supposed to look like a hollow tree. I'm going to add a little bit of bark detail around the area where the hole is to sort of suggest that she has this camouflage. Like if you just saw this in the woods, it wasn't until you'd see the more human aspects that you realize that this wasn't just a rotted out tree trunk. Because that is how she hides. It's kind of like scales almost, but you want to do it in an irregular pattern. The artist Arthur Rackham really did tree bark incredibly well, so if you ever get stumped on how that's supposed to look, just study his work a little bit. Also, to even more suggest that she is a hollow tree trunk, I thought that it'd be cool to have owls nesting inside of her. Kind of like a quirky little detail there, so that's what we're gonna do. Owls are pretty easy to draw. You don't have to add this, it's just my personal interpretation. You could add whatever kind of animal you want. I just thought it'd be fun. Okay. Gonna make them little screech owls, how they're all squat and everything and cute. Screech owls are kind of like cats. They always look so disapproving of whatever's going on around them. Let's add some shading so that it looks dark in there where they are. Okay. Okay. Now remember to add a little bit more darker at the top because the light is being cut off there. Okay. Next, her arm here bothers me a little bit, so I'm gonna fix that. Yeah, make it a little bit more slender. Okay. Let's work on her hair a little bit. They're often portrayed as having like flowers woven into their hair, so I'm gonna add a little bit of that. Okay. Okay. Add a little bit of flowers. Now, if you're going to color this, the Huldra is said to have like this thick golden hair, but you can really do whatever hair color you like. I think that maybe like anything gold or red would look really good for this. the shading under the tail. Alright. Alright, a little bit of detail got lost during the shading, so we're going to add that in. Okay. Okay, erase some of this smudges a little bit. Okay. Alright, sign off with your artist mark. And you have just learned to draw the Huldra. Okay, like, share, and subscribe. And if you have any suggestions, you can leave them in the comments for any type of creatures that you want to do. I'm right now looking for your favorite Halloween creatures from folklore and mythology. So that would be great. And also, anybody who finished a lesson from this TV show, well, not TV show, this YouTube show, I should say, sorry. You can send me your artwork at arthurwrotethis@gmail.com, and as long as you give me your written permission, I will show it on the show with your name so that they know that you did it. Alright, thanks so much for watching, guys, and bye.